I'd like to express my thanks for this award by thanking the village that made it possible. I'd like to thank my family, to thank GSAFE, to thank every supportive administrator I have ever had, which was all of them. Teaching team and my O'Keefe Welcoming Schools team. And I'd like to thank my fiancée, Angela Barrel, who I first met at an MMSD Welcoming Schools training, who proposed in an O'Keefe GSA meeting earlier this year. It takes a village to do this work. And so I thank my village. And that village includes the young people themselves. Thank you, too. This needs to be more like snapping. Okay. I believe teaching is the most powerful job in the world. We have the power to lift our students' voices. We have the power to prepare our students for the complicated world outside our classroom walls. And most importantly of all, at least in my opinion, we have the power to create safe spaces for our students' self-exploration and affirmation. I believe without question this is the most important work we do as teachers. Because I believe without question that we as teachers have the power to save lives. Everything to a young person. It is not a power, however, exclusive to teachers. Doctors save lives. Social workers save lives. Even politicians can save lives should they choose to. What is exclusive to teachers is access. When I say access, I don't mean our access to young people, although that is significant. When I say access, I mean their access to us. For many hours of the day, students and teachers share space, share their voices, and the lessons go both ways. Here are just a few of the lessons I have learned from my students. It's okay to laugh. Just don't laugh at someone or near someone. Laugh with them. Joy is an essential component to education. When we study poetry in my class, we study spoken word. And when we write poetry in my class, we write spoken word and perform it at in-class open mics. Spoken word poetry is rather notorious for being heavy. When we're at slams, my fiancé often jokes, "When do the happy poems start?" And true to form, our in-class open mics are heavy. But they're also joyous and raucous as students celebrate each other for the risks they take and the stories they share. I bet they can hear the snaps and cheers on the third floor on those days. And I couldn't be prouder of them. It's okay to be wrong sometimes. Just be kind to yourself when you realize your mistakes. Belief and passion and drive are not solely adult qualities. I used to be surprised by the political awareness and social activism of my students. I am no longer surprised, because I have learned that passionate, driven teenagers are the norm, not the exception, but I am still always impressed. By my students who advocate to study the Black Lives Matter movement, by my students who advocate to make Day of Silence more inclusive, by my students who stay true to themselves despite a world that tells them not now, not yet, to that they say, watch me, and learn what bravery looks like. Just be sure to never let someone cry alone. Okay. Strength is often equated with force, but my students teach me every day that the strongest thing someone can be is kind. November 9th was a difficult day this year. I was lost, and so were my students. Many were openly weeping. The reason this gave me hope is that none of them were crying alone. They reached out and held each other, received each other's offers of tissues and hugs, and lifted each other and themselves up, because students have the power to save lives too. The years I have spent learning these lessons with my students have given me countless joyous memories. That is why it will be so difficult to leave teaching after this year. I still love my job, and even more so my students. But the direction education is taking, thanks to decisions made by politicians who have never stepped foot inside a public school classroom, is unconscionable, and I've decided it is no longer enough to reform from within. If legislatures are going to continue to try and create this kind of social and education policy, then it is about time we get some teachers in the legislature. I do not yet know where this journey will take me, but I am determined to try and make this city, this state, this country, and this world as safe a space as I have tried to make my classroom. It will be difficult work, but I am ready thanks to the lessons I have learned with my students. I still remember the first compliment I received as a teacher. It was 8 years ago when I was an intern. We were sitting in a circle on the last day of school reading our Remember Me poems to each other when our student Olivia's turn came. She had drawn my name out of a hat with an assignment to write me a commemorative letter poem. I don't remember all of it, but I remember this line. She said, "Something I like about this class is walking in and seeing Miss Swetz smiling. It always makes me feel safe." I will never forget that moment, and I will cherish the compliment of this award the same way I still cherish that memory. And finally, a message to the young people. If you are ever my student, or in my GSA, or my poetry workshops, I'd like to invite you to please stay. Come on, there are more. Never forget you have the power to change the world. Never forget you already have. Never forget you matter. Never forget there are people in this world who love you exactly as you are and exactly as you want to be. Always remember you are worthy of that love. My students, you taught me to stand up, to speak out, and to be kind. It has been an honor being your teacher, and I will remain your student far longer than you were ever mine. Thank you.